that you're probably doing that is not getting you anywhere closer to your physique goals is doing every exercise imaginable, doing every exercise that is out there and just switching it all around, what I call exercise hopping. When you're not consistent with a workout, you're not really going to see results. Your body's like, what's going on? Too many changes, too quickly doesn't allow your body to adapt. So slow down, pick a workout, stick with it, be consistent, and see the magic happen. The other thing that follows along with this too is that we're doing all of these exercises that don't even feel right. You don't think you're doing them right. They feel weird. You feel uncomfortable. And when it doesn't feel right and it doesn't feel like you're doing them right, then your mind and body connection really don't connect. And then therefore, most likely you're not going to get the results that you want. You really got to connect that mind body connection and to really imagine how your body is transforming and how you are sculpting your body with exercises. That's why a well-designed program just for you, or those programs that have shown over and over again to really show amazing results, are the ones that you really want. Those people who rigidly follow a program and it just doesn't feel right. So, for example, a program that constantly says push-ups, this many push-ups. Like, for example, I know somebody who's doing a program that there's so many push-ups in the program. Like, that is the focus of chest. It's just push-ups. And sure, there's a variety of push-ups that you can do to work at your chest muscles, but this specific person doesn't do push-ups very well, but yet they consistently do that program over and over again, following it like it's some kind of religious rule, and it's really not good for the body. And so if it doesn't feel right, you've got to switch your program around to something that feels right. There's so many exercises out there. It's about looking at the muscle group that you're working. If it doesn't feel right of what you're doing, find another exercise that feels good, changes your body, and you get results. Another common mistake is training through your pain and not around it. This I see so many times, and I see the opposite too. Some people are like, I'm never doing lunges because they hurt my knee. Well, it's usually because you're not doing lunges right, or you're not doing the right type of variation of lunge that can help you get into that position, strengthen your quadriceps and your legs, but with a different variation. And when it comes to an exercise that causes pain, I always tell my clients, okay, rank it from a 1 to a 10. One being, I really don't feel anything, and 10 being, oh my God, I literally can't do this exercise. It's so excruciating pain. So anything over a 7, we eliminate completely. We just don't even try to work around it. We try to find another exercise to replace it. So if you really have bad knees, you probably want to replace a lunge, say, for a quad press or a leg extension or a single leg extension. There's many exercises that work your quadriceps, even a full squat, or a squat focusing on one side a little bit more with the pushing than the other. So it's just about finding the right exercise for your pain, but not working through the pain, working around it. And sometimes it's about range of motion too. Maybe you're going too deep in that, kind of triggering, some pain in certain joints. So lessen your range of motion. Maybe you're lifting too much weights, which is very common that I see because we're also ego driven about how much weights are we lifting versus what is your form like? Are you feeling any pain? Are you really getting the benefits of the exercise? So don't work through your pain, work around it. Another common mistake is really thinking about that every single exercise, I gotta hit failure, gotta hit failure, gotta hit failure. And I know hidden failure about 15 years ago became very popular because it's something that we never really considered for the average trainee. This is something you saw mostly like in athletics or competitions or bodybuilders where they went to failure. A lot of us didn't understand what failure meant, and now that we probably understand what failure means, we love that feeling, we love that adrenaline rush, we love that invincibility that we feel, and so we feel so powerful. But when you take it too far and you take every single exercise to failure, then what's going to really end up happening is you will become a failure at the end because you can't recover effectively. You're not going to be able to grow your muscles, and you're probably not going to be able to lift as heavy with intention and focus on your next training session. So you're really drawing yourself back. So if you look at your, say, 6 exercises that you're focusing on in your program, maybe hit failure on 3 of them or just 1 for that week, and then maybe next week focus on a different muscle group and you want to hit failure on that one. You will become stronger the next time you come, but hitting failure on every single exercise every time you step into the gym is just not really smart. This next tip is something that I had to learn the hard way, and this was training 52 weeks of the year super, super intense and hard. And I really experienced this when I was in my early 30s, where I did boot camp classes. So I did classes like on the weekend, and then I did live classes, online, and then I did my own workout, and then I did cardio in the evening. And so I was like slamming my body down with so much fitness, and I was not eating what I should have been eating. I think back then I was eating like 1,200 calories. I wasn't even eating enough food to support the demands of my physical activity. And this really took a beating of my body, took a beating of my hormones. And so understanding that to get the results that you want, you do have to have some breaks in between. So a good way of thinking about it, like when you do your training program, kind of like how I do mine, is 3 weeks hard, 1 week light. And my week light is usually the first week of the new program because I'm going through the program with my clients. I'm teaching them technique again. I'm teaching them different forms, different tempos, different rep ranges. How the program is going to be for the next 4 weeks. And so that week is a lighter load week because we're deloading them. We're trying to get them to learn a new pattern of movement, or if it's the same pattern of movement but different sequence of rep ranges and mind to muscle connection, then that is our week where we deload, where you're able to give your body a little bit of a break and then you go back hard into it for the next 3 weeks. And so that is a way of doing it. Some people do it a little bit different. You can say, train really hard for 3 months before we off with, just light activity, maybe stretching, yoga, those kind of things. Maybe not going down to zero. Sit on the couch is definitely not an option because, you're going to be a lot stiffer when you get back into working out. So keep moving, keep being active, but hitting it hard in the gym over and over again, like what I did, in my younger years is really, really stupid. And, this is coming from a coach that I've been training for over like 15 years, and I make mistakes too, and so most likely you will too. So I'm trying to teach you what I did wrong and what I don't want you to do wrong. So try not to be crazy, all year long. Another mistake that I fell into the trap when I was in my 30s too is, getting just juicing everything out of me in my workout, every single workout. I was looking for the pump, I was looking for the burn, I was looking for the huffing and puffing. I wanted to feel like that was the hardest workout I have ever done in my life. And I tried to raise the bar over and over and over again and getting so that I wasn't able to function at my best. So this is a big common mistake that we always go for, where clients are like, I'm not sore, Veronica. I don't think that I think I can lift heavier because I wasn't sore. I'm like, no. Sore is not an indication of muscle growth. It's not always an indication, depending on your genetics. Some people have great genetics and recoverability where they don't get sore. Like I have one client who I'm slamming it on her and she's not getting sore. So I can't let it get to my head and say, okay, we need to add more weight, add more weight, add more weight. Because when you do that, then you take away the other important parts of fitness, which is form, technique, right? Intention, focus, engaging muscle groups with your mindset. So when you're just thinking about like adding weight and feeling that burn and always getting sore, you're really missing a big part about fitness that helps you on so many different levels. So feeling sore is not always a good indication that you got a good workout. So don't go hunting for that soreness every single workout and going harder and harder and harder, because again, you are actually slowing down your progress. You're not letting your body heal and have enough time for recovery so you can actually see the gains and the work that you put into the gym. So this is a big one, and this is for all the ladies out there who just die hard cardio addicts. Cardio, cardio, cardio is all you focus on. And this is not essential. This is not going to get you closer to your physique goal. If anything, this is actually going to diminish your physique goal. And I find that people do this in many different ways. Like they do long cardio before the strength training, or they do long cardio after the strength training, or all they do is cardio. And so cardio definitely has benefits for your heart. It keeps you, it keeps you young. It helps you with your stamina, but it doesn't build muscle. If anything, doing too much cardio wastes muscle, because when you're doing cardio, your body is trying to increase its endurance. It's trying to increase the speed. And your body's sitting here looking and saying, well, I want to increase my speed. I want to go faster. I want to go longer for longer durations and last longer on this cardio output. So the best way I can do that is I need to get rid of this muscle, because this muscle weighs a lot. It's heavy and it's very expensive to keep up. So let's get rid of the muscle so we can go faster and get more endurance out of our cardio exercises. And this is what happens when we do too much cardio. So you're replacing cardio for vital muscle. And muscle is what is the longevity of life. It's going to help young. It's going to keep you firm, it's going to keep you tight, it's going to rev up your hormones, it's going to increase your sex hormones. It's really going to help you long term as you get older. Look, I'm 47 years old and I've been training since I was like 15 years old. And I get lots of compliments saying, Veronica, you don't look 47. And I know I don't look 47, but that's thanks to strength training. That's thanks to me understanding that muscle is more important than me going on the cardio machine. Yes, cardio has its place, but it's not the end all be all, and you will not change your physique with just cardio. Now, if you want to be a smaller version of what you look like, if you look like a pear and you want to be a smaller pear, do cardio. But if you want to go from a pear to an hourglass, you must do strength training and just a sparkle of cardio. That's my advice for you. When that is done wrong, that's what happens. Now, this is another situation where we come into where this is what kills your motivation, and this comes to dieting, right? So being so restrictive on your diet and you're fighting every single craving, you are only going to last so long with that type of lifestyle because your cravings will eventually win you. And usually those cravings end up into a binge, a weekend binge, a week binge, a day binge. And usually what happens in the mindset of people, it's like the effort mode. And if you know what F means, you know what I'm talking about. So the effort mode, you go on the effort train and you don't get back on track for weeks, months, and some people even years. So instead of fighting against your cravings, add them into your nutrition plan. Like I love chocolate covered almonds, so I buy the almonds that have covered chocolate that have very little sugar and it's dark chocolate, and I allow myself to have one or two after dinner. And that's my treat. I love dark chocolate covered almonds, but I make it as part of my program, so that way I'm not like binging at the end of the weekend or at the end of the night. I've restricted myself to almost no willpower. And this is really important that you don't do that because this is where a lot of people fail in their diet. They're like, I'm going on a diet, I'm going to clean up my diet, everything's going to be spick span. And then the reality hits you and you really see that you can't maintain that type of lifestyle. But yet we keep doing that over and over about learning through your mistakes that you make. So mistakes are great because it gives you an opportunity to do the next phase better, understanding the mistakes that you've done and what works and doesn't work for you. So I can definitely say that this does not work any closer to getting to your physique goals. Another one is being again fixated on nutrition, but on the opposite end and being, I gotta hit my macros, point on. And I recently have a client that I really had to train her mindset about this, that there needs to be cushion. There needs to be a cushion room between say maybe 5-10 grams maximum of cushion room. So your goal is 120 grams of protein and you only hit 119 and she's freaking out. And it's like, calm down. You don't need to freak out about a couple of grams. Like that's not going to make or break your physique goal. It's about trying to be as close to on a daily basis. So the end of the week looks really close. So if you're over next week and if you're over one day and you're under another, it's going to all balance out at the end of the week. And that's what's really important. So it's not about being so strict that you have to hit every single number, because you have to understand that if you log, like say oatmeal from this brand and then from this brand, it's slightly different. And you can't freak out about little margins like that because they're not going to change your body transformation tremendously. It's about trying to get as close to your macros as possible. So please don't stress about that because the stress that you're causing with yourself with that is actually going to cause more stress. It's going to pack on more body fat. And that's definitely not going to get you closer to your physique goals. Another one that I find too is eating 6-8 times a day. And it has nothing to do with the fact that because you eat more times a day that you increase insulin. And yes, for some people that is a big, big problem because you don't have good blood sugar regulation. That's a completely different topic, but I'm talking on the scopes of you have to eat 6 times a day because you have to rev up your metabolism, and you must eat small portions of protein throughout the day so that way you don't metabolic. Well, science has shown actually, and I used to believe this because that's what we were taught, that that's actually not the case at all, that you have an amino acid pool, a protein pool. So if you get the protein that you need within the day, then you hit your threshold. It doesn't matter if you eat 6 or 8 meals a day and you're trying to get them in small amounts. If you can get them in 3 meals, your body's still going to use the same amount of protein to regenerate muscle and to create new muscle and to help you strength training sessions and so forth and change your body composition. So If you like eating 6 times a day or 8 times a day, that's great. I can definitely tell you on my own personal experience. When I was doing a bikini competition, I was eating 6 times a day. And I'll tell you why I was eating 6 times a day, because I was up really early, right? So I was up at 5 in the morning. I was going to bed around, say, 9 or 10. And so when I'm up for that many hours, eating 3 meals is not going to help me. Like, I need more small meals to kind of keep me fueling for the rest of the day. And then when my calories got dropped low, because I had to drop a lot of body fat to show off all the great muscle that I built within that time frame, then I definitely needed to focus on smaller meals, because I was still up longer. I was still doing the same amount of workouts, and but I was on smaller calories, so I needed to really spread thin those calories. But when you're not kind of living that lifestyle and that's not your goal, you don't have to eat so many meals and pack all these Tupperwares with you, what we used to do in the 80s. Science has really shown us a big difference on, you know, how when you study about the body and you study about nutrition, how we're understanding more about how things come closer together. And it's not always the end all be all. Nutrition changes. We have to understand that. If nutrition is not black and white, it's gray. The same thing with fitness. There's studies constantly being done, and we need to be up on speed on it. And it's my job to educate you on that. So you absolutely do not need to, if you do not want to eat 6 times a day, you don't need to eat 6 times or 8 times a day to get results. Another misconception that we hear a lot is making sure that you get your protein within 1 hour after your workout. And, personally myself, I don't tell my clients that they have to do that because they're going to lose muscle mass or they're going to become catabolic. I advise my clients to still follow that rule only because the majority of my clients struggle getting their protein in. And so if I send them the message that you want to have a protein shake after your workout to maybe fuel your recovery better, to also make sure that you get enough protein throughout the day, they're going to do it. I noticed too that with some clients I said, don't even bother, and they're short on the protein all the time. So personally for myself, the way I coach my clients is I tell them, look, it's not a window of opportunity. You're not going to become catabolic. You're not going to like lose muscle because you don't have that protein shake. But it is really important for you to have that protein shake just for the fact that I know and that we're guaranteed that you're going to meet your protein needs to change your body composition. The science is showing, just so you know, that it's not a must that you have a protein shake after your workout or even before. If you had a meal before and there was ample amount of protein, it was really close to your workout, there's no need for you to double up on protein because that protein is still in your system. It's not going to digest within 20 minutes, especially if it's protein like animal-based food. If it was a protein powder, it definitely digests a lot quicker, which is why protein powders are great for, say, pre-fueling if you haven't eaten anything, right, and for a while, and you just want something to kind of help fuel your workout. That's a good idea. Or if you know that after your workout, you're going to go home for a while, but you want to make sure that you get some kind of food in your system because you don't want to overeat on your next meal. Taking a lot of supplements. And taking a lot of supplements is not necessary to reach your physique goals. This is really case situation. When I analyze my client's diet, I kind of look at their food and see, okay, how much fish are they eating in a week? If they're eating zero and I can't convince them to eat fish, then I might suggest to them, you might want to include an omega-3, okay, just for anti-inflammatory properties. If I reflect back at their diet, and I see, for example, that they're not eating a lot of greens and they're not eating a lot of whole foods and they're not willing to change up right away and they're really struggling with eating salads and stuff like that, then I would definitely say, you know what, maybe you would benefit from a high multivitamin. And most likely, everybody should really benefit from a high multivitamin just because our soil is so depleted and our food is not the same. And then when it comes to lifestyle, I look at their lifestyle, and if they're completely sedentary or they're always working in the office and they never get sunlight, then absolutely vitamin D. But those are case to case situations. So imagine all of the supplements that you really don't need to add into addition just because you can change your lifestyle. So you can save a ton of money that way, right? And then the other thing too is when a training client comes and works with me and they're just starting out, there's no need for branched amino acids. There's no need for L-glutamine. There's no need for L-carnitine or creatine or anything like that because they're not at that level to be using those products because the weights are not substantially difficult for them to have to recover from a workout like that. So I only throw in those things when I see absolutely necessary. And if I see that a client is really struggling with recovery, then I definitely recommend certain supplements to help them through the program. You guys, I hope that really helped you today to understand the things that you absolutely do not need to do to get to your physique goals, and that maybe you can, do them a little bit simpler. So if you haven't watched my first video over here that tells you the 11 tips to get the best results for your physique, then go there first and then maybe look at this one again. Okay, guys, thank you so much. And if you haven't, please subscribe, click like, share the link for the algorithm so I can send you more great information. Thanks so much. Bye, bye, Vivi.